dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. We got a new Nick Crowley. We got the darkest kids TV show ever made. I thought we already did that.
I did too.
Remember the Christian TV show?
Yeah, I remember.
I don't know.
I
thought that's what we was on.
But you know something? So much out there.
Bro, it's so much crazy out there. I don't even...
So much.
Y'all be careful.
Definitely.
Best thing I can recommend is y'all just be careful, bro. You never know what's going on out here. Like, literally in your face. Mm-hmm. People always play in your face, don't they? Mm-hmm. People love playing in your face. Smile in your face. Woo!
Oh. Excuse me.
Whole time I want to take your place. Backstabber. But hey, with that being said, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want first support. All you have to do is check out down below for us, man. But also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
liking it with a thumbs up.
And let us know, man. If y'all don't know, we're back on the Kid and C channel. Mm-hmm. Y'all go check that out. Y'all go show some love and support over there. We got different things cooking up. Just because we're running into some things, I'm going to still try to make sure we get the content out there. We want to do some stuff. We just... Because of the time, y'all know it's holiday season, so we're going to try to... We're going to
figure it out.
We're going to figure it out, try to make a way for some things, man. But, hey, with that being said, you ready, C?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into it, man. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. Let's get it. Let's see what Nick got killed up this week, man. Let's go.
It's the winter of 1985. A family living in a remote region of the Philippines receives a package at their door, which contained a single VHS tape and a note stating that the contents were for the children of the house. And so, the kids were gathered up one by one and sat in front of the television, where the tape began to play, introducing them to a brand new show called... Life with Grandpa. This was the experience for hundreds of kids across the world, made to watch a seemingly harmless puppet show about a grandpa and his family, with most of the young viewers loving it, gladly watching this episode and the many others that would be sent later on, over and over again, blissfully unaware that what they were being shown would someday come to be known as one of the most disturbing rabbit holes in the history of children's media. This is the story of Life with Grandpa, the darkest kids show ever made.
Nothing can harm you when Jesus is near.
Dad, I don't want you to leave.
Can I persuade you to subscribe?
A fellowship dedicated to sharing.
She loved to play on the steep hillside.
Life with Grandpa, won't you come along?
This is Life with Grandpa, a straight-to-VHS show made for children created sometime in the mid-80s. The program followed a family of humanoid puppets on their journey to teach the audience lessons loosely based on Christianity, through the use of stories, skits, and songs, acting as a guide for children to live their best possible lives for Jesus.
We're continuing with some more lessons about prayer. Are you all ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Lord. Such sweethearts.
The show was set up in an episodic fashion, never following any main overarching storyline, and instead, each installment would be composed of a series of shorter segments, recounting past experiences from this family, with an occasional musical number thrown in here and there.
We don't have a sad God. We have a happy God who wants us to be happy too.
Unsurprisingly, the main character of the crew was Grandpa, who acted as the show's host, often being the one to teach the episode's central messages not only to his on-screen family, but to all the kids watching at home.
But it's my kite.
But wouldn't you like to pray that some poor little boy who doesn't have so many toys and blessings as you do will find your kite?
Yes, Grandpa.
As he was made to be a wise, almost religious-like figure, whose words were never questioned. Often seen by his side was his wife, Mother Maria, though for as often as she's shown, she rarely has much to say.
Yes, thank the Lord for such a good, sweet boy.
typically only chiming in when she's reiterating Grandpa's messages to the children. And of the children, there was Davida, Techi, and Davidito, with the latter being one of the show's central figures, landing right next to or potentially even ahead of Grandpa in terms of screen time, as Davidito often got his own segments and told his own stories directly to the audience.
Hello, children. Would you like to hear some exciting prayer adventures? This first story happened when I was very small.
And though it's never outright stated, it's clear that Davidito was put on a pedestal, with the child often getting special treatment and being showered in gifts, as the family clearly seemed to favor him.
Thank you, Uncle Al.
It's called a kite.
We want to give you a little surprise because you were such a good witness.
This brand new tape recorder is for you.
Thank you, Jesus.
With there never being an explanation as to why. This is the core group of Life with Grandpa, with the only other reoccurring characters being Aunt Sarah and Uncle Elf, a couple that was often shown around the house helping look after the kids. And despite this looking like something pulled straight from the depths of the uncanny valley, the content within the show didn't really seem all that troublesome. In fact, it appeared fairly normal, and not too unlike the many other low-budget religious shows of the time, highlighting themes like obedience.
Nothing short of right is right.
Yes, so the right thing is...
To obey.
Sharing.
Good morning, Davida. I have a surprise for you. Oh, can I see it? I would like to share my cars with you. Which ones do you like?
And loving everyone.
That's really sweet of you, David. Thank you for that nice, generous present.
What present?
That nice kiss. A kiss makes a real beautiful gift or present.
Though mixed within these fairly standard teachings, you'll find other moments that are far more unusual.
Don't run down that gravel hill. Davida! Oh, Davida.
She's bleeding, and her cut is all covered with dirt.
And I don't even have a tissue to wipe it with. I'll just have to lick it clean and spit out the dirt.
The show featured a lot of strange underlying themes that seemed to have nothing to do with religion, or at least not the conventional beliefs of Christianity, with one of the more obvious being its unprompted disdain for doctors.
We'll have to really pray that there won't be a scar.
Soon afterwards, there was no sign at all of the deep gash on Davida's forehead. Surely a doctor would have stitched it, but our God is still a God of miracles. Praise the Lord.
As well as its constant endorsement of spanking.
Jesus spanks us because he loves us and wants us to obey and be good.
We're really sorry. So if the Lord should spank you a little bit or correct you, it's for your own good. It's because he loves you and wants you to be good and obey.
And while these are certainly strange, by far the most glaring indication that Life with Grandpa wasn't just your typical kids show came from the program's stance on women, with the first major example coming from a song made for the young girls watching on.
So do the dishes and clean the floor, and God can show us something more. I'm ready for any job at all, whether it's great or whether it's small. I'm ready to go, ready to stay, ready my place to fill. Ready for service, holy or great, ready to do God's will.
How you feel about that, C?
Of all the things, you want to stop it there.
How
You
you
could have
feel about
stopped it
this?
way ago and asked me how I feel. Everything is just strange. I'm just listening, taking it all in.
Right now,
going.
that's the reason why I haven't paused or anything, y'all. Just trying to take it in, get some understanding.
Just trying to,
because
before I be prejudging,
weird,
but
bro.
it's strange. It gives me little creepy vibes, but hey.
It gives me brainwash control.
Yeah.
The message behind this song is clear. If you're a woman, then it's your job to cook, clean, and have babies. And that's about it, as this is God's will and your sole purpose for existing. And while this ideology was certainly not as controversial at the time, the show took it even further, as it hammered home this idea to all the children watching on by repeating one line at the end over and over again.
What's that?
Trust and obey, for there's no other way. Trust and obey, for there's no other way. Trust and obey, for there's no other way.
Making it clear that this was a lesson that the showrunners didn't want these kids to question. But as comically offensive as this song is, it was far from the worst that the show had to offer.
It's time for our lecture song.
He's a friendly scientist, a real good friend of ours.
In another episode, we're shown a musical number about Grandpa, who's portrayed as a scientist that's always busy working, though the song is really less about him and more about his love interest.
Get bent out of shape, 'cause he's in love with a robot. Watch her flick and spin. Ooh, yeah.
A robot with long hair and nude female breasts. It's one of the most surreal things that I've ever seen on a kid's show, as this thing was clearly meant to be a portrayal of Grandpa's wife and women in general, likening them to robots. Though unlike the previous demeaning song, this number is blatantly perverted, as it not only shows the robot having breasts, but it also shows Grandpa fondling them as well. And these perversions weren't even exclusive to its imagery.
What's in his key? That's when she gets excited.
Oh wow!
Oh no!
And a kids Christian television show.
Is it?
Oh, that's what it was deemed to be. Ah, okay. Let me sip my tea.
You sure?
Cause I mean, God, you know what I'm saying? That's the craziest shit I ever heard. This is 1985. Trying to see when my mom graduated high school. She graduated in the 80s. I think she graduated in 87. Your mom would graduate, what, 85?
83. My mom.
No.
82.
Oh, your mom is a lot older than my mom.
My mom older. My mom older than your mom.
Oh,
How old is your mom?
I can't remember.
When her birthday comes, you don't know how old she's gonna be?
Not
50
really.
something.
She's still in her 50.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My mom's 60. My mom about to be 60 in a few days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking for so many reasons, but mainly due to the fact that this was on a show that was literally made for toddlers and young children, who are now being shown this clearly explicit content. And most disturbing of all is the realization that this sexualized material was actually nothing new to the world of Life with Grandpa.
And no parents thought none of this shit was wrong.
I wonder. Maybe so.
And I'm not finna just get a video in the mail and just tell my
put it
kids
on
to
for
grab
my
it
child without like checking it out for myself, making sure it's okay. Yeah,
but also, you gotta remember
you
gotta remember the times.
The time.
A lot of people were gullible to a lot of bullshit back then.
And then you like see the title, and then you may watch a few seconds of it. You're not thinking anything about it. But as time go on, as time go on, it starts to get a little bit more weird, and you're like.
Sometimes you really gotta consume things just so make sure your kids are consuming it properly. Like a lot of it blows my mind to realize that a lot of parents don't understand or know what their kids watching nowadays. Mm-hmm. And when you find out and you hear about the things they're watching, and then you look at the age, you like, what the hell, y'all? Like even my mom be telling me what my niece and nephew be watching, and I'll be like, nah, why? I'm like, what the fuck you mean, why?
Yeah.
Like, I know this. Y'all don't know this.
Yeah.
They should not know. Like, that stuff is, like, let my 4-year-old niece just watch random
stuff. And I'd be like...
I'm like, no.
I'm like, are you sitting there watching it and, like, paying attention? Because if so,
anything
you would
to keep them from getting on their nerves.
Watching. Yeah. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Predating the puppets, there was a little-known illustrated book series called Life of Grandpa, with the show practically being a shot-for-shot remake of this book series, featuring the same exact characters and stories. And much like the show, the series was also a religious guide created for children. In its pages, you'll find themes about morality and lessons made to guide you towards a proper way of living through this religion. But these books also had a very apparent dark side, one far worse than the show it inspired. In the chapter Real Fathers, we're shown a scene where Techi and Davidito question why they have two different skin colors, despite them being siblings, as Techi noticed that Davidito's skin appeared light brown, while hers was almost pure white, to which Grandpa then explains to them how his wife and their mother had slept with other men.
See, God...
Hold on.
What?
His wife and their mother. Hold the hell on.
Hold on.
Because he's the grandpa.
His wife.
Their mother.
And then he said his wife, their mother, his wife. I'm trying to see.
But grandpa, I don't understand if both David and
Davida,
whatever, were born in the same country, then why are they different colors? David is brown, but Davida is white.
Skin colors, despite them being siblings, as Techi noticed that Davidito's skin appeared light brown, while hers was almost pure white, to which Grandpa then explains to them how his wife and their mother had slept with other men.
His wife and their mother. His wife.
If it's his wife and their mother, pay attention, but it's their grandpa, which is also their dad or stepdad.
What? No, I
Which
get
would
it.
be,
I'm just kind of...
he married his damn daughter. Weird ass.
Is that what you taking from it?
Yes. They call him grandpa. He answers as their grandpa.
But he's their daddy.
He said, my wife.
Which
your
is their...
mother.
Okay.
Slept with
other men.
This is some weird shit. Very incest.
Who thought that this was okay?
But I guess he didn't want her to birth kids from him. But he felt as though it was okay to marry the...
Okay, let me...
You gotta... Hold on. Peep this. You gotta understand. She slept with several different men. Mm-hmm. He didn't want her to have kids because it would have been incest. But I'm gonna marry...
But I will...
Sick.
That's sick. I'm really trying to like...
So she had to have her kids. She slept with other men
because he didn't want to impregnate his daughter, but he married her. I hope we're reading this correctly.
I know I am. I'm following along, bro.
I'm following along. I just didn't want to.
This weird.
Because when he said it, I said, no way. Hold on. I heard that wrong.
You heard it right.
See, God used Timothy and Carlos only to fuck mama so that I could have you both.
I
They
noticed.
were just like an instrument or tool that Jesus used to help create you wonderful little children for his kingdom. Praise the Lord. This was followed by an in-depth explanation of what that scene looked like, including images depicting the act.
Oh my gosh.
Examples like this are prevalent all throughout the pages of Life with Grandpa, with erotic material being shown constantly with no regard as to how inappropriate this is to be shown kids. Which begs the obvious question.
Which is still in today's generation why a lot of parents got issues with certain books and certain things that's being published and pushed and spread it upon kids, knowing like no matter what it is, certain things shouldn't like be tainted into a kid's imagination. Kids are innocent and pure.
Also,
they should remain that way until they, you know what I'm saying? This shit should not fly with kids, bro. I'm not, cause you know what's so crazy?
Maybe I was tripping.
A lot of people looked at it like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's for kids, one, and then it has to do with Christianity or religion purpose. Right. So they like, oh, it's gotta be harmful because
harmless.
I mean, harmless.
Yeah.
Because it's kids and is Bible stuff.
But y'all have to understand that the people that are behind things, their intentions are not pure. You don't know who these people are, what their mindset is, and the reason, their intentions on why they're doing this.
And that's the reason why I said y'all need to stop pushing certain things on kids. Let kids remain pure. If you don't have a pure, like 100% pure agenda to just, hey, this is for help them to be able to learn better. You know what I'm saying? Help. Like a lot of people push their certain agendas on kids and try to hide it in fucking books, which is very weird, bro. You need to go go get some help for your own damn self. Like in this, they need some help. Y'all gotta stop. Like y'all be trying to influence kids on some dumb shit. Like this dumb as hell. The fuck wrong with y'all folks, bro? Some freakazoids.
Mm-hmm.
And then y'all pushing this shit onto kids, and y'all wonder why generation after generation after generation kids are fucked up. And then parents, y'all gotta start hold y'all self accountable because y'all allowing y'all kids to indulge in this. And then when they get older, they be like, I wonder why y'all so bad, why y'all so wild, why y'all so freaky. Motherfucker, did you not understand this? You over here, you blasting rap music, then when your son wanna, what the hell? You been influencing. Then you smokers weed. Then when your kids become teenagers, they sneaking smoking weed. You wonder, I don't know why they want to smoke weed. Duh, motherfucker, you smoking it. You a crackhead influencing the next generation of crackheads.
Not a crackhead, child.
You a hooker influencing it. Mama got different men laid up in the house all the time. Turn the door just keeps recycling. Yeah. What you think the kid gonna do? Recycle. They gonna starting younger, and it's gonna get younger, and it's gonna get younger. Come on, bro. It's a revolving door. Stupidity ass shit. Learn to raise our damn kids.
Why? Why was life with Grandpa so blatantly perverted? Well, the answer lies with the author of the books and the reason for the show's existence.
Is he weird?
David Berg.
He shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect.
Sick in the head.
That's when Jesus is going to come back to rapture his saints, to gather them together.
Born in 1919, David grew up a devout believer in Christianity, but wanted something more from the religion. He dreamed of one day starting his own group with his own teachings, and in 1968, at the ripe age of 50, he decided it was time to do just that. The group began in Huntington Beach, California, and went by many names over the years, like Teens for Christ, the Children of God, the Family of Love, the Family International, or just the Family. But regardless of its name, there was no denying what this group was. A cult. A cult led by David Berg. Berg would find young hippies and those struggling with drug addiction and mental health issues, and convince them to join his group by stating that the end of the world was coming soon, and that they needed to follow in his path and join his family to save their souls.
A bunch of people who are gullible and easy to be tricked to believe crazy. Bro, when you really realize the people that low keys end up joining, reason why I'm speaking on it, I know somebody personally that has joined. And I'm like, you had to. And then she even speaks on how the fact that she was at her lowest of her lows. But
and that's the thing.
Prayed.
Yes, they prey on people that they know are in this, like, whatever this bondage is, or anything. This vulnerable, or whatever the case may be. And it was like, yep, that's my next victim. That's my next victim.
And then they seeking acceptance of something.
And they just want something to fill some type of void.
For the simplest, the smallest moment of being uplifted, bro.
Like this little, just a little ounce of like whatever acceptance or happiness in their eyes or whatever, or just to have like someone to feel love. It
low key pimping. That's what a pimp
sad.
do. That's what a pimp do. They go get low mindset women. Or I done seen women pimp men.
And men.
They go get the lowest mindset people and let them know. And man, that's all it is. It's literally pimping.
And it's just in a different form. And you just pour all this, whatever you telling them, like into them. And they like, okay, just eating it up, being brainwashed.
Sad.
And it's sad.
It was pretty standard cult ideology, but at the time it was extremely effective, with the sect amassing a staggering 10,000 members at its peak. And at first, David got by with fairly standard teachings from the Bible, although this wouldn't last. After some time, Berg began addressing his followers via frequent illustrated messages called Mo letters that featured his ramblings and teachings from the time, with Berg slowly ingraining into his members that the contents of these letters should be taken as seriously, if not more so, than the Bible. In one of these letters sent out in 1972, Berg claimed that God was going to destroy the United States and that the group needed to flee the country immediately, with Berg demanding that his followers spread out all across the globe and open up communal homes where members could live as one. far away from the public eye. As a result, many members packed up their things and left right away, leading to roughly 130 communities being established across 70 different countries.
Why do you think you wanted to flee the U.S.? I got an idea.
Tell me your idea, because I have nothing. Legal, something legal.
Because you got to think about it. All these like little societies and groups and these members and stuff.
Yeah.
They start investigating this stuff.
Yeah.
Because in the U.S. it's illegal.
Yeah.
And you can't go to jail.
That's the only thing I can think of.
And so he probably was getting visited, and they probably starting to interview people, and he's like, "Oh, it's time for us to flee," because he's gonna. But you just needed them to convince them that we gotta go.
We have to go. Cause I need y'all. Cause I gotta whatever. Control. Yeah, continue to have this control or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. Some type of legal reasons.
Yeah, on some legal. Yeah.
Leading to roughly 130 communities being established across 70 different countries, essentially overnight. This mass migration had an extremely significant impact on the family, as it left practically the entire group outside of the United States, and more importantly, outside of the United States jurisdiction, meaning that Berg can now get away with far more than he used to. And unsurprisingly, this is where he began to tighten his control. The full-time members were made to give up all of their earthly possessions to the group and cease all contact with their family and friends who were non-believers, cutting them off from the outside world completely. And these restrictions also applied to the media they consumed.
I decided I would limit how much I would watch the TV. Cause now I've got the answer. It's the slave, I'm the master. It no longer has a spell on me.
In his teachings, Berg denounced all forms of entertainment made outside of the cult, since he believed that this would poison the minds of his members and potentially sway them into leaving the group.
No one, he just wanted control because he don't want y'all to see something they could have been reporting on it. He don't want y'all to be fed information that could possibly get y'all to leave. So he like, hey, you can't listen to the radio. You can't
watch television.
Just in case you stumble over a news
can't be in
news reporting.
Like nothing.
I wonder what's he being like. What's the news even reporting on it? So he don't, bro. Y'all can't.
And so, instead, he insisted that his followers only consume media that was produced directly by the family, with these works often being created by Berg himself or the other followers he enlisted, and then shipped directly to the members' homes, leading to hundreds if not thousands of videos, movies, and TV shows being produced and shared among the family. But for Berg, this wasn't just about providing entertainment. It was really all about controlling the minds of his group, and even more importantly, indoctrination, with his primary targets being children. From birth, most kids were not shown any media other than what the cult gave their parents, with these works quite literally shaping their minds into following everything that the cult believed in without question. The main themes of these were usually things like always be happy,
more than 70 little muscles form a frowny face,
but only 14 muscles put a smile in its place on your face.
always show love, and never, under any circumstances, question your parents.
Always best to do it 'cause daddy said so. Do it 'cause daddy said so. Do it 'cause daddy said so. Trust, obey, and do it 'cause daddy said so. Do it 'cause daddy said so. Because daddy knows best.
And Life with Grandpa was no exception, as it too was created by the family in order to instill their beliefs into its child viewers, with the line trust and obey being hammered home time and time again, as those creating the programs didn't want their kids questioning any of the practices, and so they were teaching them to simply smile along and trust the adults. But because the group was the one producing and distributing the content, they basically had no regulations placed on them, meaning that they could include whatever they want in these shows without any repercussions, leading to many of the showrunners exploring some of the group's more controversial beliefs, which becomes extremely troublesome when you realize that the family wasn't just your standard cult, and instead, it was a sex cult.
When you think of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, what are you thinking about? You think about a beautiful naked man and a beautiful naked woman. And what is the first thing that a beautiful naked man and a beautiful naked woman would, of course, naturally do as soon as they saw each other and nobody else around? I think just one look was all it took. And bloop.
David Berg was a deeply perverted man. The idea of sex consumed him and seeped its way into essentially all of his teachings.
I think Adam and Eve are over there behind those bushes right now, busy making, not pina colada, I think they're making some other kind of juices.
And once his followers were outside of the US, he began to preach something he called the law of love, which essentially said that the family should be showing all people love, and that love should come in the form of sex.
I practice what I preach, and I preach sex, boys and girls, hallelujah.
And so he told his followers to open up their relationships to outsiders, calling the practice sharing, as you were made to share your partner in the hopes of enticing new people to join the group. But he wasn't satisfied with just this, and instead he began to mandate that the women of the group participate in something he called flirty fishing. Also known as FF, flirty fishing describes the practice of women going into bars at night in order to pick up lonely men, who they would then entertain for the night. The goal of this was to convince these men to join the family, though more realistically, the goal was also to make money, as they were made to charge for their services, with the women being told to seek lonely businessmen. In this
Pimpin'. That's exactly what it's called. Didn't I say that earlier?
This is something that Berg not only pushed heavily, but outright mandated, insisting that every woman in the group do this or face being removed from the family, even those who were married. And Berg was so serious about this that he sent every colony report forms so that they could report how much flirty fishing was being done, in order to check their statistics and make sure that they were up to par. Understandably, many women of the group were concerned by this, and wanted nothing to do with it. However, most of them had moved all the way across the world and sacrificed all of their belongings to be in this group, meaning that their removal would leave them with nothing. They were trapped. Simply put, Berg was forcing the women of the group into prostitution, and he was shameless about it too, calling them God's whores and Christ's hookers. The worst of all, Berg knew that flirty fishing could put these women in grave danger, as he admitted to them that violent assaults were going to happen, but he said that if you want to live, simply don't resist. And if you do get hurt or even killed, that's entirely your fault, as after all, it was God's will. And this was on top of a myriad of other horrific things that Berg said that I can't even repeat here. But the man saying all of these horrific things was the same man who wrote Life with Grandpa, and he used this medium to normalize his sex cult's beliefs for the children watching. Which gives more context as to why women were portrayed in the way they were in these books and the show, as Life with Grandpa was breaking down the young girls watching and grooming them for a life of prostitution that they were made to accept without question.
Trust and obey, for there's no other way. Trust and obey.
Though the show wasn't only for preparing the kids for the perverse lifestyles they were headed for, and instead, they were already becoming well accustomed to it. Throughout his molest,
there is nothing in the world at all wrong with sex as long as it's practicing love, no matter who or what age or what relative or what
manner.
Dang, that is crazy. Wow. You know what?
You know I'm sitting here like
his old ass was doing some of them kids.
I'm in my head trying not to go there, but you have like kind of no choice because you're so sick already. So it's kind of like nothing is off limits for you, right?
You know, with people like this, I really be wondering like, how were you up until this age? Like, how were you as a kid? When did you possibly lose your virginity, right? Mm-hmm. Did you ever lose it? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause some people never lose it. You know what I'm saying? How were you when it came to interacting with people? How were you when it came down to interacting with other women? Have you ever did any crime before? What type of crime do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like that.
It's a lot of questions.
Yeah. Who were your parents? How did your parents treat you?
How did they treat you? How were you raised? Because I know he said that you already grew up like in like. But what type of like?
Did you come from some type of abusive home? What things done to you as a child? Like there's
so many like questions I have because I'm just like, ain't no way you grow up in a Christian household, a pure Christian household, and you turn to this. You know what I'm saying?
It's all about control though. At 50, you like, yeah. I wonder who he is.
Solely Christian household.
Whatever. I wonder who he is beyond this. Like, who is really this guy? You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't want to know the guy that started. I want to know the guy that was before that.
Yeah.
Cause that guy explains what happened, why this guy even showed his face.
Letters, Berg also began to preach that children should be involved in these affairs and sharing as well, stating that he believed age should have nothing to do with it. In fact, he believed that children should be taught about this lifestyle essentially as soon as they're born. And although, again, I can't read his exact words on that, about this life.
Hold on, I'll read it for you. Though,
I really can read this font.
I can. I hope all of our young kids have plenty of encounters.
Yeah.
I hope they won't have all those frustrations from encounters, the deprivations demanded by the system.
This font bothers my eyes. Sorry.
Lifestyle essentially as soon as they're born. And although
it is a perfectly normal appetite. Appetite. Mm-hmm. Like any other appetite, why did the Lord make you able to have children at the age of 11, 12, and 13 if you weren't supposed to have relations then?
I'm so disturbed. This is so
I can go in, but also let's just be real. For those who are Christians, or follow the Christian faith, there's always been warnings. Beware of false prophets. It always has been warnings for you. It's just up to you to
have discernment to know what's real and what's not, and move accordingly. Cause like what I always. Sorry.
Go.
No, I always and like when I hear about like cults and people joining cults, and you may have someone that has been in one and now, no longer a part, and like whatever, kudos, to those people. But I always wonder in my head, like what makes someone like.
But you fed like a lot of them be like. That even said I was at the lowest point of my life. A lot of them they be like.
And then like when he mentioned it at the beginning, he prays on people that's like either like drug abuse or like at those
hippies,
the hippies and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, that that makes sense. You go for the most vulnerable people.
Because you got and people who are like typically who are. What lifestyle do most of those people do? Like, you got to think about it. Most of those are loners.
Yeah.
Most of those have been abandoned by family. If they didn't abandon the family, there's a family. I say this: there's a family disconnect
somewhere. Yeah.
So, say for instance, you're not being heard from. Your family would be like, "Oh, that's just normal."
Right.
So
you're not looking or searching or whatever. They went out there doing them.
So that's an easy target.
It sucks. But I just always like, man, I feel for the people that do. Some people, they are.
Some people be stuck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, physically, mentally.
Yeah, because I like with the chick that I know that went. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know. Did she have a child too?
That I don't know.
I thought she had a son. I can't remember.
I don't know if she had a child or not. But I always wonder still to this day. I don't know
what's going on.
Like what's going on? She's still a part of it, or
because she changed her last name
to his last name.
Yeah, she like
all the women did. Actually, they had changed their name to his last name.
Because low key, we both know the girl. I grew up with her. Like we went to school and stuff.
I went to college with her.
Yeah.
And when I found that out, I was like, "Whoa, wait, huh?"
Yeah.
Crazy.
I was like, because I didn't know she went to college with you. I was like, "Oh, okay, that was you went to school."
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and it's
sad. It's really sad to see people go off on the deep end.
Because before then, I never met anybody or have had anybody that I've known in my life that have purposely went into one. And seeing that, I'm like, dang.
And then just to like,
but they live freely though. They're not in like a compound or anything.
No,
they live freely, but their mind is
up here. They're not free mentally.
And the one like the guy that they follow, if you have went down any rabbit holes on New Age,
yeah,
like people like groups like that. You know the guy we're talking about. I'm not gonna say his name, but
I always forget his name. But yeah, you know.
No, I know his name.
Oh, okay.
Like,
but
if you ever went down a rabbit hole of his,
yeah.
like he was real trending on Facebook and YouTube at one point, and a lot of people that went down the rabbit hole know exactly who this guy. He's a black guy. I'll say that he's a black guy, but
yeah.
Again, I can't read his exact words on this. Berg had declared open season on pedophilia, and much like flirty fishing, it was mandatory.
Don't tell me
The abuse that followed is unimaginable, at a scale far too large to fully know to this day. Abuse that the parents of the children not only allowed, but often participated in, with one of the more notorious large-scale accounts coming from something that the group called the Love Video. This movie was a result of Berg sending out requests to all of the parents to send him lewd videos of their children dancing, which he not only took for himself, but packaged together into a long-form compilation video that was then distributed to all of the cult's members, encouraging the others to film similar content, with Berg going as far as creating a guide to help create the perfect video. And not only did many parents go along with this, but many clearly enjoyed it.
Y'all so far
gone. Shared with us the video that just came from World Services, and it was so inspiring. It was so beautiful. The love video.
And for this couple specifically, this wasn't the only order that they were happily following.
And it was really a blessing, too, for Joe and Hobo, because they had a good chance to share also with Sally. Amen. And so the Lord's really setting us freer and freer to obey and to be free and to show that sample of freedom and love to the world.
This is. Do y'all pick your own Bible up and read? Do y'all? I be wondering with that. Do y'all, honestly, or do y'all just follow what he's saying and just take in what he's saying? But are y'all not reading it word by word and for your own understanding?
It's honestly giving me that he probably don't even allow them to
have one.
It's all about what he says, what he writes, what he
spreads.
Yeah,
for lack of word,
his teachings. Yeah. His teachings.
Oh, because he did say his teachings was more powerful than. Oh yeah. Let me stop pausing so much.
Life with Grandpa was literally created to indoctrinate kids into a pedophilic sex cult, and it makes you realize why exactly it and so many other of the cult's programs were hammering home this point of not questioning your parents or any adults, and to simply obey and smile.
So the right thing is
to obey.
Because the adults in their lives were now suddenly doing unimaginable things to them, and they were being groomed not to question it, making some of the show's segments horrendous in hindsight.
One very special way you can show the big people that you love them is by giving them lots of hugs, kisses, and cuddles.
Oh, pay attention. I'm sorry, I know I'm pausing, y'all. This stuff, like, you gotta really dissect this. Pay attention, right? With the puppets thing. He is the grandpa. This is his daughter. It's depicting his... Even in this, he's telling you he's a PDF file. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, freaky
I don't want to know, but I know.
Dang.
Sadly.
Oh.
Oh.
A child's love and affection really encourages and inspires the big people.
It was normalizing their abuse, and because of this, many children never questioned the horrible assaults that they endured. Assaults that were all fueled and pushed by David Berg's sick perversions.
God created boys and girls able to have children by about the age of 12 years of age. My God, now he's going to advocate childhood sex. Yes.
Which were far from theoretical, as Berg himself allegedly partook in this practice repeatedly, with his own children and stepchildren, as incest was also a key point of his teachings, and his adult followers rarely dared to question this, as those who refused to partake in Berg's latest teachings were again at risk of removal from the group, which is even more devastating for those who had children, as much like all of their possessions, their kids were pledged and belonged to the family. And the kids themselves couldn't seek help either, as those that refused to trust and obey were sent away to actual prison camps owned by the cult until they were basically reprogrammed.
Oh,
they
wow.
need camps. I was sent with my brother to the Philippines. We had armed guards from the Filipino military keeping us in. They would publicly beat you if you asked to leave, then try to break you and get you to confess.
And the group continuously got away with this too, thanks in large part to Berg's orchestration of the group leaving the United States, which looking back was almost certainly done on purpose. Plus, many members were actually living in hiding. In fact, all of the members were made to change their names upon joining the group, and most were told to never give out their last names, meaning that if any child wanted to report that it happened to them, they would be unable to provide even the names of their abusers. And this included Berg too, who at this point lived most of his life in hiding, going by numerous aliases to avoid detection. Aliases like King, Moses, Mo, Dad, and eventually, Grandpa. The entire show was about him, David Berg, which is why he was shown as a wise, unquestioned religious-like figure who the children were made to look up to. And that wasn't all, as the characters shown alongside Berg were also members of his real-life family that lived with him in a remote commune. Mother Maria was the nickname of Karen Zerby, David's wife who helped him run the cult and facilitate this era of hypersexualization, while Aunt Sarah was based on Sarah Kelly, the woman in charge of running the prison camp made to punish the kids who dared question the family's beliefs.
Sarah Kelly, who was responsible for me being held against my will in the Philippines.
But the most grotesque detail to come from the revelation of who these characters are was that it showcased David Berg's polygamy, as he was actually married to many people in the real world, and 2 characters on the show itself, Mother Maria and Davida.
The grandbaby. Did we see that coming?
Yes.
Yes.
We did, but it's just still like...
I saw that coming.
You don't want to see it coming, but everything is just so like unhinged, sickening. I really don't have any words. I really don't.
So now, is this really his child with his wife? Is that really his child? Since, because if we take in the information, Grandpa was just an alias for him. So could he now just marry their mother and then turn around and marry? You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why the mother, the story keeps getting deep. The reason why the mother, y'all don't look alike, because mother was she was one of my prostitutes. You know what I'm saying? And I was pimping her out. So yeah, she got pregnant by a couple of the guys out here. Her, it's based off of everything he did. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why the kids, y'all don't look alike. Mom was a hoe, and I had her working the corners for what it was called FF. What was FF? A fishy
something fishy. Finding fishy, fishy,
frisky fishy, something like that. I don't
something
know.
Sick, whatever it is, sick.
His then 5-year-old stepdaughter. Davida would eventually go on to tell her story, stating that she had been Berg's child bride.
And there was a ceremony with the ring and everything, and once I turned 5 years old was when I was implicated into being one of his queens, so to speak.
Along with allegations that she had been victimized by him countless times. And she wasn't the only victim of Berg's perversion.
These are real people. I understood the Sarah Kelly. I'm talking about even the...
Yeah, even the other woman.
Sarah, and then the queen woman.
Yes, these are
I'm gonna say
people.
this. I ain't gonna hold you. Sometimes your morality is allows you to stand strong in something. For y'all to even be okay, y'all even fucked up as
going along with it, thinking it like. And that's why I can't wrap my head around. No matter,
sometimes your morality just kicks in and be like,
I guess I ain't never been that low. I don't get it because ain't no way, and definitely not about to put my kids through that. It's a different thing if I feel like I need whatever, but to put your kids through that, to go through that and think that it's okay, and like, well, I can't leave. I gave all my possessions away. Forget that.
Then not even just that though.
Leave.
You recording that CP. Y'all let her fondling and touching and even relations with
everything.
He turned all y'all into pedos.
Everything you can think of. and you still stay and think that it's okay. I just could not. And I think I've never been able to wrap my head around it. But, and I'm not like speaking down on the people who have been in a cult before, because I don't know what you was going through mentally. I don't know your situation. But me personally, I'm just like, to put your kids through that, that's a whole different thing for me.
And I'll say this, like, I know we pausing a lot. I know somebody mad about us pausing and stuff. Click out the video. Go watch it for yourself.
Go watch the original video.
But because this is shocking, and it's a lot of pause. Like, there's a lot of pause-worthy parts. You know what I'm saying? Because you just like, what the? At 5, see, you wouldn't know what. Like, your whole life would be screwed.
Was when I was implicated into being one of his queens, so to speak.
Along with allegations that she had been victimized by him countless times. And she wasn't the only victim of Berg's perversions. Tetchy was often sexualized by Berg publicly, with Berg having stories made and illustrated depicting his fantasies about her when she was just a child. On top of this, numerous people within the group also claimed that she had been outright assaulted by the hands of Berg, as well as many others in the group.
And look at our pretty girls today. You're dressed in such nice dresses and your hair looks so nice. Yes, you look so pretty for all the children that are watching today.
The context of who these characters are makes this already disturbing show that much more sickening. But of all of the horrible stories to come from the real-life characters of Life with Grandpa, there's one that is far and away the most horrific. The story of Davidito.
David is such a handsome boy, isn't he, girls? Would you like for David to share some more lessons?
Yes, Grandpa.
Are you all ready? Okay, David, you have the floor.
His real name was Ricky Rodriguez, and as a baby, he was taken in as Berg's son following Maria conceiving him with a man after a night of flirty fishing. And being David's first son, he was given the nickname Davidito. As for David Berg, he viewed this child as essentially a messiah. He began telling his followers that Davidito would one day save them from the apocalypse, causing Davidito to become a celebrity within the group, and worshipped as a religious figure when he was just a baby. Which explains why he was given so much airtime during Life with Grandpa, and why he was constantly being showered with gifts.
We want to give you a little surprise because you were such a good witness.
And for David and Karen, they wanted Davidito's life and childhood to be a guide for all members of the group, as they raised him in what they believed to be the perfect manner for a godly household. And so the couple and several other contributors documented the way he was raised, with daily journal entries that were published as weekly newsletters, and eventually turned into one massive book titled The Story of Davidito. And the family truly believed that this over 700-page book was the ultimate guide for parenting and showed the only proper way to raise a child. Though what it actually showed was just how badly Davidito was being abused. Davidito is described laying next to his nude nannies, witnessing orgies involving his own mother, and being touched sexually by the adults around him, with these examples being presented through not only written stories, but actual photographs, with the adults involved having their faces removed and drawings placed over the top of them in order to hide their identities. The book was not only promoting sexual acts with children, but it was outright showing it, and showing it happen to Davidito. And because of this, we have a daily journal entry of all the abuse that this child suffered, starting when he was an infant. Despite all the heinous acts that had been going on within the family, they had up until this point gone virtually unchecked by the public eye. But the story of Davidito would prove to be the first domino to fall, as the book leaked to the press.
Tonight, the cult Children of God, founded by Moses David Berg, he reportedly sanctioned sex among children.
This immediately became a news story all across the world, and it began shining a light on the family and its twisted beliefs. But despite all the constant news coverage, and the story of Davidito being tangible proof of the cult's horrible practices, there was still essentially nothing done to stop them, as very few arrests were ever made as a result, and even fewer resulted in convictions. So nothing was ever done to help Davidito. And so during his entire childhood and his early adult years, he stayed with the group. Though the older he got, the more he began to see the family for what they really were, and the constant pain that he was experiencing eventually made him want to just run away from it all. And so, in 1999, that's exactly what he did, fleeing to the United States in the hopes of starting a new life. Though this was easier said than done, and no amount of distance was enough to keep him away from his tortured past. At one point during his time in the United States, Ricky actually opened up about the struggles he was experiencing on a website made for survivors of the family. And there, he documented just how bad things really were for him and several others behind the scenes, living with Berg, appropriately titling the post, Life with Grandpa. It was apparent that he was haunted by this life that he tried to escape, as the trauma was an everyday cycle of hell, and he just couldn't take it anymore.
Do you know that sometimes the Lord likes to test our faith, to teach us patience, and to really make us pray? This is just what happened to me once.
Well, hey everyone. I want people to know that even though some of the things that I'm going to try to do are rather shocking and maybe not right in a lot of people's books, I want to explain some of the reasons behind it.
On January 7th, 2005, Ricky Rodriguez set up a video camera in his apartment and expressed his desire to kill his mother and other leaders of the group for all the dreadful things that they had done not only to him, but to all the other children, with his hope being that this would finally bring down the family once and for all.
My goal is to get those sick bucks, Ma and Peter, and, you know, then I can go to the next life knowing that, you know, that I made a difference.
With Ricky going as far as to show off the various ways that he planned on torturing them.
I'm gonna have to make do. I got my drill here. Got lots of fucking duct tape.
God knows, He hears, He cares. He loves His girls and boys. He gives His very best to those who let Him choose the toys.
By this point, David Berg had been dead for years, though the family carried on with his mother, Karen Zerbe, assuming full control, which explains why she was the primary target. And much like
Yeah.
What?
Y'all should let it die when he died, bro.
Exactly. So for you to
He's
like,
able to
oh,
escape.
I have to continue this. Yeah.
He was able to escape scot-free. Nothing happened to him.
Nothing.
He's gone.
And y'all like, yeah, but I want to just continue on in
I
his
was
footsteps.
Y'all stuck.
Horrible. You're a horrible person.
And now, and it's a woman. That's crazy. Your own kid, bruh.
The damage that you have done physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, everything. Yeah.
mother, Karen Zerbe, assuming full control, which explains why she was the primary target. And much like Berg, Karen spent most of her life in hiding, with Ricky being unable to track her down, though he was able to find Angela Smith, one of the nannies responsible for raising him, as well as one of his most prominent abusers, as she was even shown in the story of Davidito assaulting him. At this point, Ricky was exhausted, and Angela was his last shot at getting intel to help him find his mother and finally carry through on his plans. And so, he invited her over for dinner, under the guise of rejoining the group.
I went home that night and tried to wait patiently for the next day. But the Lord still had more lessons that He wanted to teach me. This is what happened.
Before Ricky could even get the information he was looking for, something in him snapped, and midway through their conversation, Ricky grabbed a knife and stabbed Karen in the arm, and then slit her throat. He fled the area that night, driving for hours until he reached California, the place that years before David Berg had started the family. There, he called his ex-wife, professing to everything he did, saying that he did it mainly for his sister Techi, but he felt no better. In fact, he felt worse. And even looking back at the video, it's very obvious that this was something that Ricky didn't truly want to do, and instead, he felt like he had to do it, to avenge everyone that the family had hurt.
I'm not trained. I don't know how to fucking do this. I don't even want to fucking do this. God damn it.
And it was too late to take back what he did. And so he stopped the car in a dark parking lot, sat there for a moment thinking about everything that had happened during his painful life, and ended his suffering once and for all.
I mean, in a way, that's what these fuckers have done to us. They didn't actually, grab a knife and cut us up, but man, they sure fucked up our brains. That's the way it was at Grandpa and Mama's house. Literally or figuratively, they're going down. So, with that happy thought, I shall leave you.
Ricky Rodriguez's death was devastating for the community of survivors of the family, and it caused shockwaves all throughout the family itself, as his final video was plastered all over the news. And though it didn't happen in the way he expected it or wanted it to, Ricky's life and death undoubtedly contributed to the decline of the family, and helped diminish the cycle of abuse within the group. Starting from the story of Davidito, the public pressure forced Berg to outlaw the widespread abuse that he once preached. And though it is believed that it never really came to an end, it was at the very least significantly reduced. And by the time the news began to cover Ricky's death, it proved to be the final wake-up call for many still within the group, as they finally began to see through the facade that had once controlled their lives.
Like Grandpa says, prayer is powerful. When we pray, things will happen and things will be different.
It's difficult to watch any of Life with Grandpa, knowing its history, its purpose, and the real people that it was inspired by. Though as soon as the media began taking notice of the cult, many members were made to purge the media that was sent to them that may be considered incriminating. And as a result, it appears that most of Life with Grandpa is missing to this day, and potentially destroyed forever. Currently, only 4 episodes have been recovered, and it's not even known how many more were released, or even what year the show started or ended. But considering how closely the show mirrored the book, it's possible that these potentially missing and destroyed episodes are much worse than the ones we have today. But despite not knowing the full extent of the show, it's clear that Life with Grandpa and the countless other programs that the family made did exactly what they wanted them to. They brainwashed an entire generation of the cult's children, and the effects were devastating.
But they become extremely agitated when we ask them about Moses David Berg's teachings on sex.
My Little Fish. Now, your father described that as a routine publication.
They're not having sex, they're just kissing and hugging in bed. That's not sex.
If you show it to other people, they don't understand. That stuff's not supposed to be publicized. So many people think sex is wrong. So many people hate us. But we just telling them the truth. We're just telling them it's not wrong. We're just telling them that...
And so that's sad. The thing, though. Hold on, I'm gonna let it.
There's nothing wrong with it, and here comes these publicizers doing them to everybody.
And that's the thing. That's the reason why he really, his main goal wasn't even the parents. It really was the kids. Because the parents, I'm the oldest person, right? I'm not gonna be here long. But I want my teachings to last as long as they can.
Yeah.
Who are the ones that are more gullible? And typically, if I can really get y'all to believe in this, my teachings will last longer. It's the kids.
Yeah, kids are, they're gullible, they're naive, they're innocent minds. So it's easier to brainwash and fill their minds with whatever you want them to believe and live by.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because y'all rob them kids of so much. Not caring or thinking about the effects that it will have on their future. Not thinking that, this is going to be a forever thing. You know?
Just think, though, right? How many kids...
not thinking that this will not be a forever thing. And these kids will eventually, learn and get out. And
that's my thing I was going to say. Did they really get out? Or are they possibly still teaching it how they created small groups amongst themselves to continue it to go? And then are they passing all those same morals and those same teachings on down to their kids?
If so, that's sad. And if some did get out and they got away, at the same time, I'm still worried about the mental of them, because that's hard to just be like, oh, okay, I'm out. But you still trapped mentally because that's all you know.
Because I'll say this, I'll say this, there's still possibly a handful of them. Not everybody left.
Yeah.
Like, even the mental side, I'm talking about as far as believing.
Yeah.
Not like what they have done to them, but I'm saying the ones that still truly believe these teachings, they're still a small, it could be a lot.
Yeah.
It could be a little, but there's still some people who still believe in those teachings because they were that brainwashed.
Yeah.
Not everybody leaves. Not everybody. You can take away the leader, but not everyone leaves.
Now, when you speak in that manner, are you talking about the adults as well?
Yeah.
Or are you just... Because I do...
Adults
like,
and kids.
Oh, both. Well, okay. I was just speaking on the kids, but yeah, true. I still agree with you, but definitely with the adults, I do wonder, once it, like, came crumbling down, like, still, do y'all have, like you said, a little small group somewhere? Like, well, I still want to continue this.
Because his mom was technically
like,
the leader.
Yeah.
Once he passed, because that's how typically these groups go. Once the main leader, there's somebody else they have to continue to follow.
Yeah.
And she was the one because she was the closest. She was the queen.
She was yeah.
So like any other royalty, if the king passes, the queen takes over the throne. And he was supposed to be the prince, but he left. He fled. And so if he did stay, he will be, you know what I'm saying, and rule. But just imagine the ones, there's kids his age that still stayed. And they're probably still heavily influenced. I doubt everyone left.
No, man.
It's sad, though.
Between the strange content from the program itself, its obvious attempts at indoctrinating kids into a cult that was only ever going to harm them, the real-life people behind the characters, and the fact that this propaganda was so effective, I have no doubt that Life with Grandpa is the darkest children's show that I've ever come across. Though, shockingly, there's somehow one more layer to the story that makes this program even more disturbing.
What if he had kids?
And now, here's the exciting ending to this story.
One thing that we haven't discussed yet is who was actually the one behind the creation of the show. There's no doubt that it's David Berg's stories and was probably done at his request, but who is the one actually making it? Well, unfortunately, most of the people who worked on the show have their identities hidden by only using their first names, or even using straight-up aliases, so I could hardly find any information on any of them, with the exception of one: Peter Puppet. Peter Puppet was sort of a celebrity within the group, being responsible for numerous puppet shows, including one called The Lovettes, which was actually far more popular than Life with Grandpa, and was even supposedly broadcast on TV in the Philippines, with the show being a disturbing rabbit hole in its own right.
Would you like to hear a story? Well then let's go see Grandpa in the garden. Hello, children. So nice of you to visit us in the garden today.
But Peter Puppet owned this group, and was in charge of the Lovettes team, and coincidentally, the Lovettes just so happened to be credited as the producers of Life with Grandpa. So Peter Puppet was, at the very least, one of the contributing creators of the show. And he also seems to be the one in charge of performing the actual musical numbers on the show, as they featured puppets that belonged to Peter and the Lovettes team, with these segments interestingly being credited to an unknown man named Peter Pioneer.
We have a beautiful song from Peter Pioneer.
It's not a concrete link, but it's clear that Peter Puppet had a role in the show's creation, and helped push the family's disturbed ideology onto hundreds of kids across the globe. But during the creation of Life with Grandpa, it seems his own beliefs were being tested. In the beginning of the video, we saw an example of the family's view on doctors.
Surely a doctor would have stitched it, but our God is still a God of miracles. Praise the Lord.
This sentiment was really common in the family, as Berg outright forbade any medicine or surgeries of any kind, instead preaching that miracles from God were the only way to heal. And because of this, many members of the family with chronic ailments or fatal illnesses were basically left to die. And one of those left suffering was Peter Puppet. His life is almost entirely a mystery, as he lived in hiding in one of the family's compounds, but according to some of the group's members, one day he noticed something in his neck, a small lump. And over the next few weeks and months, it began to slowly get bigger and bigger, to the point that Peter had to go visit a doctor in order to see what was wrong. And it was there he learned that inside of him was an aggressive tumor that was only going to get larger. The good news was the tumor was actually operable and could be removed with little risk to his life, but the bad news was surgeries were against the family's beliefs, and so he turned it down, instead opting to go back to the compound to pray the tumor away with the other members. This, however, never happened. Instead, the mass began to grow at an even faster rate, to the point that those around him could notice it, eventually leading to Peter hiding away in his room away from the others, not wanting to be seen. However, at some point during his struggle, a photograph was taken, showing the entire compound he was living with. And in the background, we see...
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
My goodness.
Oh, they didn't even pull it in the Filipino
Mm-hmm.
people. Golly.
But
that's a lot of kids, man. Kid looks.
Peter, whose neck is impossibly large. From here, it said that Peter began to beg the family to take him to get the surgery, as the tumor was quite literally suffocating him slowly, turning him against the very beliefs that he once forced upon so many children over the years. But the family forbade it, insisting that he wait for a miracle that was never going to come. With nowhere else to turn, Peter Puppet supposedly ended his own life shortly after this photograph was taken, adding the final pillar of context to Life with Grandpa, a program that can only be described as the darkest children's show ever created.
We've got to go now. Let's wave bye-bye, kids. God bless you. Come on, say bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Sadly I wandered for many a year, driven by hunger and filled with fear. I must arise and go.
I know you did, but shut your whole ass up. I hate.
Normally I'd be like, oh, but child.
I wanted to say something else, but
I don't.
Man, fake ass motherfuckers. Man, I'll be damn.
This was very.
Somebody should have whooped his ass.
Very disturbing. Yeah, most definitely.
The fuck wrong with you, bro? Weird, bro.
That's where it's so much out there that you just have never heard about, don't know.
Never heard about this dude. And he had so many people all around the world.
You hear about these cults and stuff like that, but I've never.
You know why you never though? You know why you never? Because he wasn't caught and he fled before he could really get on the radar. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Jonestown, he fled, but he was already on the radar. They were trying to, you know what I'm saying? David, what's his name? David Koresh. And in Waco, he was on the radar. Like those people. What's his name out in California? I can't think of it. Dang, what's his name? Is it Charles Manson?
Charles.
He was he you know what I'm saying? Those are the ones when the FBI is investigating and they on the radar, they trying to arrest and all that. Those are the ones we hear about. He fled way before. He got the drop and he said, "We out." Yeah. That's the reason why we don't hear about those. They escape fast, early.
Anyone that was like involved in it that did get out, I do pray for like their healing and stuff and hope that they are like coping and dealing with.
But I wonder where majority of them are at today.
Yeah.
Like even the ones who decide to stay.
Yeah.
Like, because honestly, if it did continue, it only got bigger.
Yeah. Whew, okay. Well.
And it could be disguised as something else.
As something else. It could be a whole,
But it still follows the same teachings. So just imagine from generation to generation, they continue the cycle of abuse. Because that's what it is. From beginning, from top to bottom. It's abuse. But hey, y'all spam us up, man. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comment section down below. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go up with the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We are.
No time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from